I'm glad to welcome everyone on the new episode of the Flow podcast, where we talk about crypto market structure with industry leaders. And today we're glad to have Yuriy Sorokin, the founder and the CEO of 3Commas. Yuri, glad to have you here.
Thank you. It's 3Commas. It's a common misconception. A lot of people think it's 3Commas after the series and the tequila and everything. But actually, it was the idea that every crypto trader wants to get to $1 billion.
Yes.
And in $1 billion, you have 3Commas. So it's 3Commas.
I think it's great to have such a positioning and actually enable not only, I believe 3Commas, not only in trading volume, right? But in your private wealth.
Everyone must have a dream. And I believe that's a big dream for quite a lot of people in the market.
Indeed. So, well, today we're not talking about the dreams of some of our retail users, but mostly about the emergent market structure and how the crypto landscape changed over the last decade. And you've been in that market for quite a lot. So you basically built some of those changing bits yourself. So it's been really cool to talk more and get your opinion on that. So maybe first thing, it'd be great to give our listeners some context about the aha moment for you personally. How did you decide to build what is right now 3Commas?
My journey with crypto actually started back in 2012. So I'm one of those people who mined Bitcoin on video cards at the office where everyone hated you because the computers were loud and produced a lot of heat. Everyone would tell you that what you're doing is nonsense and it will be never worth anything. So at that moment, we mined Bitcoin at $7. We sold most of it at 12, which was a huge success at almost 50% result. And then if you would remember, MTGOX hack happened where me together with my co-founder who was on the tech side, we lost most of it or the remaining of it. And after that, I personally kind of fell out of the space for the next, I would say, 4 to 5 years. And then we got back in early 2017 when...
And you didn't keep any of those Bitcoins throughout that
no.
years timeline?
I have a few stories like that, but that Bitcoin was gone. Then late 2016, 17, the story kind of repeated itself with the Ethereum.
Yeah.
And we started mining Ethereum. So my co-founder moved to another building. Basically, he bought a new apartment, and he was one of the few residents in that whole building, which was like 30 floors or something. So and a month or two later, the management company comes to him saying that they are very, very sorry because there must be some mistake with the electricity meters, as the meters show that basically his apartment consumes the same amount as the whole building, which is right next to that. And it was a fun moment when he was trying to explain to them that this is actually not a mistake, but he has this Ethereum farm on his balcony. So and at that moment we decided to build a tool for ourselves. And I guess this is what makes 3Commas and what made 3Commas successful, is that was something that we started building for ourselves. It was a portfolio management tool. There were 3 exchanges on the market at the moment: Bittrex, Poloniex, Bitfinex.
Bitstamp, I guess, was already somewhere.
But it was with as the most interest of retail traders, and I would say people who try to get rich quickly with crypto, was mostly with Bittrex. Because of all the tokens that were there. Yeah. I guess we'll talk about how fragmented the liquidity still is, close to 10 years later. So we've built the portfolio management tool first for ourselves. Then we decided to, at some point, to show it to our friends and then They showed it to their friends, and then we made the service public and started gathering feedback, and one led to another. And so 3 to 4 years later, we were at the biggest, and I would say that even though the market has shrinked, we still are the biggest trading automation, retail-focused trading automation platform on the market. Yesterday, we met with both Binance and OKX, which were really happy to tell us that we are still the biggest broker,
Nice.
or this API, what's properly called API broker on the market. So
Okay, I guess like so far you've proceeded almost like 500 billion, like $500 billion in volume.
Well,
Correct me
yeah,
if,
I'm not a big fan of this, like the total volume that we did over the last almost 8 years. The numbers right now are around 5 billion a month,
Wow.
which I guess is still quite a good result, even with all the changes that happened in the market in the last 5 years, namely the retail leaving this massive crypto space and leaving to meme coins and other things that.
And there are a lot of automation tools on the meme coins right now. I guess like most of the volume, it's like 90%, or maybe more than that, in the meme space is fully automated.
That is true, and this is a trend that we as a company probably missed. As after the investment round that we did 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago right now, we decided to expand heavily on both DeFi and institutional. So these were our two big bets. But this is when we definitely lacked in execution. And in the end, right now, there are a lot of new players. And this market is dominated by a completely different set of companies. And I would say that there are these two big worlds right now between the CEX trading automation and the DEX trading automation. But you are completely right, and that's understandable, as it's very hard to track, monitor, and analyze all this data on chain manually.
It looks like more of a random thing right now, almost.
One could say random. You could also, as there is big argument that this is a very heavily manipulated market, as if you are...
Yeah, that's why I said it politely, random.
Yeah.
But any plans to actually enter the market? Because like Pump Fun is literally almost 1 year old. So the market is still only started.
That's an interesting discussion. Again, we were yesterday at one of the biggest exchanges on the market event, let's say. I don't want to put the name out here, but what they did was that they presented their meme coin trading initially terminal platform.
Yeah.
And they invited their traders to showcase the features of the platform and so on and so forth, which makes me think that they are trying that hard to push their terminal to the traders, even though we know the success of the platforms that were there for a year or even more so, which emerged very, very quickly.
Yep.
They didn't need any kind of, big stage promotion, and they got all the users they wanted in the world, right? So why is that? Well, my main take on this is that meme coins is mostly a way for people to
socialize, or
to get access to this enormous liquidity that could be, again, maybe manipulated is not the right word here, but it's not actually trading, right? It's not that you can properly trade a meme coin. You can try to get early, first in, probably not first out, but get what you want and get out of the trade. We in 3Commas spent more than a year and a half before all that happened, trying to build we did build a terminal by our own, but I guess the big mistake was to focus on Base and at that moment EVM chains for meme coins, and in the end, all this market ended on Solana. So we kind of missed the trend here, but it was an interesting experience.
Well, indeed. But what do you think on the future of the market? Like, do you want still to do something around the meme coins, or you think it's gone and you don't want to distract your focus?
We are not the company who want to cater to this very mass retail audience. And in the end, after the drop of 2022, when Luna collapsed, when FTX market collapsed, and when essentially retail traders left the market, meme coins emerged again as a way for them to be able to get back into getting rich quickly schemes and all these ideas. We, since the beginning, and then through the years, through this almost 8 years with 3Commas, we are much more focused on people who think of them as wannabe professional traders, people who consider trading as their, I would say, second job, or maybe at some point they expect it to become their first job as their first source of income. So we are much more focused on tools that help people to manage their strategies better, make better decisions, save their time, and so on and so forth. So I don't really see us moving into meme coin space at all. Last year, we did a small pivot into B2B space as we started looking into the numbers. And I would expect that with more or less every platform, it's like that. But turns out that 90% or close to 90% of our volumes are generated by like roughly 5 to 7% of our users. And essentially what we saw is that these people, they started using 3Commas as a tool to manage either third-party accounts or manage multiple accounts that they control as crypto asset managers. And then talking to these people, it got very clear to us that what they need is some special reporting tools.
Like tooling for managed accounts and more of a like EMS or MS type of setup.
Exactly, because there are some very, I would say, easy to solve problems that are on the surface, but they've been not properly solved yet. So for let's say this retail-oriented asset manager, so a person who would be, an opinion leader on TradingView or on Bybit copy trading, for example, but then he wants to get access to other platforms and other users on other platforms. What he needs essentially is to reach out to them in some way, and then they need to, for example, pass him the API keys in some way, or like, in a secure, more or less manner, which there is just no way to do that. Exactly. So this was, as it usually happens with us, a very obvious, need that we decided to solve. We solved it, and it instantly got traction. So what 3Commas has is, we call it, you can think of it as a secure, basically box, which would store all the keys in the right way, which are then used to execute trades on the exchange on your behalf. And so the way it works is that the client of an asset manager puts these keys into this box, and then the asset manager has access to it, and then the client has the full control, meaning he can revoke his keys in any moment he wants, and so on and so forth. So it both gives the asset manager access to all these clients on all these exchanges, because actually this is what they want. They want to have access to these funds.
Like one-stop tool, from which they can manage all of their clients. Right?
And if you would think that even now the amount of assets under management on 3Commas is close to $5 billion, then it becomes really interesting for this.
And by assets under management, you mean the client accounts that are linked to 3Commas?
Exactly. So now,
because you yourself, you're not a financial institution, right?
As a platform, we do not hold custody in any way. So the way it works is that people would connect 3Commas to their accounts on the exchanges, and then what we provide now to the asset managers, again, opinion leaders, professional traders, many words for these traders who want to get some funds under management and then execute their strategies, is that they could come to us and then get access to these people, this audience, and provide them with their ideas.
Makes total sense. And just for the context of our listeners, so 3Commas is a software, right? So you don't hold any licenses as of now, or at least that was your key focus. So you allow your clients to automate their trading, and it's a retail product. Do you plan to enter the licensed or like regulated space where you can become a fund of funds or a broker? Like any plans on that?
That's a very good and interesting topic that we can spend some time talking about. I would answer your question first. So in Europe, since the beginning of this year, right, of 2025, 3Commas as an Estonian company should have a license to be able to provide the kind of services that we do. So even though we do not hold custody ourselves, even though we, as you rightfully said, are a software, we still fall under MiCA license. Why? Because MiCA states it very clearly, is that execution of orders on behalf of the clients falls under this license. So the way we work in Europe at the moment is that we partnered with a Cyprus-based licensed entity. So in Europe, we provide our services through that third party to be fully compliant. The plan down the road is obviously to get MiCA license by ourselves. However, once you get into the details, it becomes much more difficult because MiCA only covers spot trading, and then for the futures, you need the other one, and so on and so forth. I guess this, to be fully transparent here, this makes us to shift our focus more on the other markets, as it is just easy to expand and easy to build new products. It's been always like that, as 3Commas is a subscription-based service first. So huge part of our revenue are the subscriptions that people are paying to get access to the tools. More than 50% of our users come from the States. So this is our main focus. This is where we are targeting our integrations, mostly with because it is important to support everything that the exchange provides to the users, and it is really fragmented, and with the way it works with the futures in the States versus Europe versus the rest of the world. The US market is the main focus for us right now.
Yeah, sure. And for the US market, what's your plan for the next 12 to 24 months? Do you plan to provide some additional services, maybe on the regulated front, or what's the approach for the next couple of years?
So the plans for the next years in general, and at this moment I should touch again on what is the core value of what 3Commas does, and what is the idea, what is that we actually do, right? Think of 3Commas as a no-code trading automation software. So the idea initially was that once a trader lands with us, what he needs and what he wants. So he has some idea of some trading strategy or something that he wants to first build. And when I say build, it means that he wants to describe his strategy in one way or another. Then he wants to test it, back test it, to verify if it would have worked. And then he wants to execute it in the proper manner.
Of course.
And then he wants to analyze it, and then the cycle repeats itself, right? So what 3Commas has been building for the last 7 years is a continuous set of user interfaces which allowed people and which allow people now to describe this whatever strategy that you have. For most of the people, it would be either a variation of some very simple strategies.
Yep.
But again, for the core audience, which is in smaller amount, but which account for close to 50% of the volumes that we generate, of these 5 billion volumes that we generate, it will be done through all kinds of integrations, meaning through TradingView integrations or other platforms that would provide traders with the signals to execute trades. Now, if you would think about it, it makes our life as a company really, really, I would say, both very interesting and very difficult, because every trader who wants to have a strategy, his day would be that he described a strategy in some way, he backtested it, he ran it, now he wants to make some adjustments. And in the end, very quickly, especially people who know what they're doing, they would run into the limitations of the user interface that we provide them. And they would say, hey guys, it's wonderful that you have, all this settings and parameters for the strategy, but I need more, right? And then we would say, okay, all right, we will build this set of parameters for you. So what you end up with right now in 2025 is what we call it like an aeroplane.
Oh yeah, well, I guess the level of sophistication like that was built over those years, it's completely different from what you've kind of started and imagined.
But what tends to happen is that even though it caters for this pro-tail audience who really needs it, it makes really, really difficult to use the platform for the newcomers. And these newcomers, they can be even experienced traders.
Yes.
But they would come and say, hey guys, I've been trading, whatever, for the last 15 years. I have no idea how to use what you've built. What is that? How can I use that?
So tell me, this is really quite an exciting discussion. So please.
And that's a real challenge, right?
Yeah.
Because we need to balance between all the new features that the audience wants, or the audience that already been through this, and also cater for the newcomers, even though they're...
So do you plan to introduce some sort of like a light version, or...?
I don't really believe in the concept of light versions, and this is the moment where we should start speaking about the AI, because this is what I believe is the right next logical step for these kinds of interfaces, let's say. Because essentially, again, let's think about it. What is the main problem that 3Commas solves? Well, the main problem that we solve is that we want to provide traders who are not developers to allow them to build, test, and execute and analyze these strategies. So if that trader would be a developer, he doesn't need us at all, right? Well, maybe we can argue that we've built all this wonderful execution layers and all that. And yes, this is real valuable thing that we also provide, because we are connected to these 15 exchanges. We maintain these connections because it's not only about building the connections, but actually the logic that you should maintain. It's really complex and all that. But in the end, we sold and we promised to the user that you do not need to learn how to code, use our user interface. Well, now, as we've been just discussing, this user interface really limits you in terms of what you can do on one side, and on the other side, it makes really, really difficult for you to onboard.
Yes.
So what we are working on right now, and I believe a lot of companies do, and we should discuss why is that so? Because why is that the only proper front-facing AI tools is basically a ChatGPT-like stuff,
chatbot,
bots, or variations on this, right? So it's all wrappers around ChatGPT, Perplexity, and other things. Like, why is that AI already is solving quite a lot of things on the back end of the companies in general. So we use AI both with the software development, process automation,
of course,
whatever status updates that we need to run the company better, to reach out to the clients, and so on and so forth. And this stuff already, I believe, and a lot of companies are doing that, it already runs really, really well. But again, look at the interfaces. We're in the end of 2025. There are not that many. There is just this chat-like idea that obviously needs improvement, right? So what we are working on right now and what we propose at the moment, and I don't think that this is like the proper end solution that we will have in a couple of years, but what we have right now is basically mixed between the two. So what the trader wants is to have a representation of his strategy that he really wants to describe with a text or something, and which is also like, it's not that easy to do, because once you start getting into more details, like I challenge everyone to try to talk to even ChatGPT with the latest versions to correct quite a big document and ask him to make changes within the structure, right? It completely messes it up. So I don't really believe that ChatGPT is able to provide you with some code or a Pine script code or something that would be running your strategy as of yet. So we mix it between a user starts with this chat-like interface.
Yes.
This way he can onboard easily. He can figure out what is that the platform does. He can start small with their pretty simple strategies, and then he can gradually add levels of complexity that he needs, and then get to this like monstrosity variation of whatever he believes is the right thing to execute in the market right now. But again, I mostly believe that this should be the more of a tool to get people started, and once they need more and more, then eventually they will switch to this big complex UIs that we have right now. However, again, the vision is that at some point this chat-like solution with the proper chart. So we call it like chat to either chart or chat to trade.
Yep.
Something like that. Again, there are a lot of companies who already tried to do that pre-LLMs era. It didn't really work well, but the ideas were there. We were following a company that got acquired by Kraken recently, Capitalize AI. The guys were doing that since 2017, so they started together with 3Commas. Again, it didn't really. So the only way it could work before, and probably it could still work right now, is in a very limited scope. Mm-hmm. But I firmly believe that this is the right way for this set of tools and interfaces to evolve.
Oh, looking quite exciting. Let's talk more about the user journey. You mentioned that several times, that once the user joins the platform, basically is already a sort of more experienced trader. And then over time, gets to know more, he wants to have more tooling. So my question is, do you see that as a major concern or an issue, that you first need to educate the market to actually provide them your tooling, even some basic stuff, unless you have this AI chatbot-like interface? So you have a certain barrier, the entry barrier for the mass market, so that the user needs to be educated enough to actually start using you. But then once this learning curve moves forward, the user can be so sophisticated, so it's not only limited by your interface, right, but also the infrastructure. It can become more latency sensitive, and it might want to use like more tooling. And there's literally this like part of the user journey that you greatly cover Do you see that an issue on the both ends of that learning curve?
That's a good question. However, I would say that we should talk about who is that the user who actually wants to trade something, and on the spectrum of the the novice retails and then some professionals, either the prop funds, whatever, HFT firms and others,
like self-taught HFT guys.
But it's a huge spectrum, right?
Yes.
So I'm a firm believer that for the majority of the users, and this is what I see with both our numbers in the market, all the data that we have, it's definitely for the majority of the users, they don't really know how to trade, and what is more, they don't really want to learn, and the whole idea is different, right? They just want to earn money somehow in this new market, and for them, and I guess I am one of these people myself. I really believe that it's much better to just buy Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies that you really believe in, and then just hold it for as long as you can, right? I mentioned to you that
it's not that exciting.
It's definitely not. It's definitely not that exciting. But with the way the market is right now, with all the changes in the financial systems in the world, with what the US does right now, with what happened during COVID times, it is more or less clear that the correlation between the prices of risky assets, which crypto still is right now. I know that a lot of people believe that Bitcoin is digital gold and the store of value and so on and so forth. However, I would really love this to become Bitcoin to become digital gold at some point, but I don't think that it is that today.
Yeah, well, it's still perceived as a risky asset, like
100%. And so then for the mass retails, because they were so oversold during the bull run, with the stories of so the whole idea was that we will democratize the markets. You couldn't invest in Apple when Apple was a garage-based company, whatever, right? Microsoft, Oracle, you name it. But now you can, so invest in our wonderful ICO coin and you will get rich quickly. Well, I think it's really safe to say that 99.9 people lost all their money that they invested in that, right? We were talking about meme coins before. To me, it's all the same idea. Yes, there could be some value in terms of collectibles.
Yep.
But it's in the end, it's very small and very niche market. So to answer your question, when users come to us, first of all, they need to have an account on the exchange already. Second, they are believing that the tools that the exchanges provide, and I would say right away that over the last 5 years, or even the last 3 years, exchanges did a great job in polishing these tools, making them better. Binance, Bybit, OKX, all these exchanges already have automation tools or bots by their own bots in the end, right? Why are people still coming to us? Well, mostly because they believe that the tools that the exchanges provide, with all this discussion that we were having before, they're limiting themselves. So they believe that the tools that the exchanges have do not allow them to execute the level of complexity
purely to those exchanges
that they want, right? The question of education, it really lies within to what is that the user wants. Because if the user wants to have some kind of a money button or to get access, basically, we did some tests with this AI bot that we're making already. I can tell you right now that 80% of the users ask, what is that coin that I should buy today to make 100% profit in a month? Realistically,
And what's the answer?
The answer is that there is no answer to that. So that's.
So do these you might have seen like high churn ratios, right? If the
But
user
that's fine.
comes disappointed,
That's fine. This is exactly how the market is set up. So from all the people in the market, it takes really trading is a proper. It's a proper job for a lot of them, right? So it's not something that one can easily do and then consistently earn money with and provide consistent result without investing time into researching the market, understanding the trends, following what's happening there today, and so on and so forth. Even our tools, they do automate actions that the trader would do anyways manually, but this is not. But again, it is a tool, so it's not a black box that would generate money. And I think that this is the most difficult thing for people to understand, because either
people want to believe in magic, so like they want that magic tooling. But let's talk about the product concept behind that. So do you see that you will be mostly building around more sophisticated traders and basically asset managers, and then provide their services to your mass retail clients, and you're basically becoming this like more of a managed account tooling, right? Or you still want to develop more DIY tools for the mass market? Because it seems like
I think in the end it will be somewhere in the middle, because all these tools for asset managers, we have them already, and this is something that is more in the business side of the equation at the moment. So we are focusing more on onboarding better asset managers.
So shouldn't AI just advise, like, guys, don't waste your time. Here's a bunch of asset managers. Just go check out their performance and pick a couple of those.
There is definitely a way to do it like this.
Yeah.
However, more often than not, it will lead to people being disappointed in the result, because first of all, as you said, it's not that exciting to just, because in the end they would just provide their
like it's
funds,
more of a passive income.
It's a passive thing, right? And for the people who are not happy with the results that even Bitcoin yields, right? They want to be more involved. They want to beat the market. And once you're in this path of beating the market, then what you will be doing is just constantly being there, trying to monitor what is happening and adjusting any strategy that you want. So our approach here is that we believe that providing people with more guidance, data-driven on the results of all the trades that we already have, is a much better way to do this. So think of it as you mentioned something about being like an educational, well, maybe not a proper educational platform, but trying to educate the users. And this is definitely where I believe we will be spending a lot of our time on, as a lot of people who join, they're not really joining for some easy ways to make money. They actually want to learn on how the markets work, how the tooling works, and what is that they can. So getting profits is one thing, but actually getting new insights and learning new stuff is also a big thing for the users. And we are working on providing them with the tooling to do that as well.
Gotcha. So yeah, the answer is basically, you mentioned you will be doing that in parallel, right? The DIY tools and more of the access to that asset management. So probably over time, once these users get more educated, they understand the kind of portfolio theory, right? And then they might migrate to more of a passive side of investment. And then by the time they realize that, you already have the proper tools in place.
That might happen. What tends to happen from my experience is that people would be migrating to either other platforms at this moment, or they will be switching to other investment strategies. So again, what 3Commas stands for is the platform for best possible no-code trading automation.
Yep.
And again, I believe that AI would do a great job helping users to accomplish that. But I don't think that we will ever evolve in a platform that will be providing any kind of financial advice or something like that. And
well, maybe
but there is a need for that definitely as well, right?
And there are no platforms like that. Like I think Wealthfront just filed for an IPO last week after like almost 20 years of growing in the US markets, and the concept of robo-advising is not that common in the crypto space. And I think guys like yourselves can pioneer that space if you actually see the need for that, or you don't see that.
I think that the reason for why the robo-advisory is not that common in crypto space as of now is that people who actually know what they're doing, you're always in this I would say like conflict, right, between the people who actually know what they're doing. They tend to keep these strategies to themselves, mostly because it is really difficult to scale crypto strategies compared to the traditional markets, just because the liquidity is much thinner than you have on the traditional markets. And it's funny, but a good example here would be that now with all the regulations, it is becoming even more split. So for example, Kraken in Europe, if you would look into their volumes, it's really it's less than 100 million a day per the most common pairs like Bitcoin and something. So for example, what I also do as a part of my job is managing the treasury that we have in 3Commas. And sometimes we need to do tens of millions in swaps from one crypto to another through mostly regulated OTC desks. And you would be surprised on actually how thin that liquidity is. So when we are talking about scaling whatever trading strategy on in the ideal world, indefinite number of users, well, it would be very, very difficult to do. And I guess this is why it's not. The world is this is why you don't have this kind of products in the world right now.
Yeah, of course, and this is a very interesting problem to solve. And our podcast is actually about the market structure. So let's talk about that a little bit. And you mentioned that when you started in crypto, there were literally like 3 exchanges. Like the landscape changed a lot since then. We have all the different names. There are officially more than 600 exchanges on CoinMarketCap, while in fact, I guess there's way more than that. And the liquidity is extremely thin. It's extremely split across lots of different venues, lots of different trading types between centralized exchanges, decentralized exchanges. OTC is playing like a bigger portion. So how do you see that landscape changing from where you stand, and how does that affect your business?
So I would say that when we started and then when we grew quickly, or like when we grew like crazy, especially in 2020, 2021, during the bull run, was that Binance as an exchange conquered and dominated the market completely.
Yep.
From our trading volumes, more than 90% of what the users were generating was coming from Binance, or they were generating this volume on Binance. Again, at the best years, 3Commas accounted on about 2% of all the trading volumes that were generated on Binance. This number is much, much lower right now. Why? Well, mostly because with all the regulations first, and then this split between the regions that came after that.
Yep.
For example, now the percentage of all the Binance volumes is much closer to 40%, well, at best months to 50%.
And you mean on your platform, or you're talking about overall?
It's on our platform, but I think 3Commas is a pretty good
representation
of what is happening in general, because it did become very, very fragmented. So, but again, why? The reason for that is the users that were running between the exchanges to find, first to get access to some tokens that were available on one exchange and not available on the other, right?
Yep.
The second big thing is that if you would look into what was there on the market in terms of decentralized exchanges 5 years ago, it was a completely unusable, a very, very slow things with, we did use them still because the value was that on these exchanges you could trade the tokens that were not traded anywhere else. But now with the hybrid exchanges like Hyperliquid, and now with Aster, and we see that Aster is doing well for something that just got launched less than a month ago, amazing results, right?
Yeah.
And for us as developers and for other developers out there, the good thing about Aster is that Binance tried really hard to make the API, the integration API, really, really similar to what they have on the centralized exchange, which is also good. So. But again, why do places like Hyperliquid and then Aster exist? Again, we can talk about the wonderful decentralized world, but in the end, I strongly believe that it's because people who are not able to trade because of the legal and KYC restrictions on centralized exchanges can, and they do go there, right?
That's how the major exchanges got their market share in the first place, right? Like you can easily open an account on any major exchanges without mentioning the names, even if you're quite light on KYC. So.
Exactly. So I would say that this maturing of the market, it is happening.
Yep.
It is happening probably slower than anyone expected. Again, remember 7 years ago, everyone was shouting that we will be using crypto in our everyday world in 5 years, like in no time. That definitely didn't happen. The markets still are more about providing users access to this very fragmented liquidity. And then I guess this is what we are trying to solve, especially for the asset managers, again, is to get some kind of an access to all this fragmented liquidity across all the other exchanges. Yeah, I'm not sure if I answered that, but just another round. So yeah, the market changed a lot, and the regulations play a huge role in that. And to be honest, even with all the big new trends, which are the emergence of the stablecoins, and as we see that there are so many of them launching right now, and I think that this trend will continue. It will make market for the next couple of years even more fragmented than it is right now. There is a lot of...
Which I guess opens more opportunities for your clients, right? For them to capture those inefficiencies.
Hopefully. And there is a lot of talk about the tokenized stocks, which a lot of exchanges, most namely FTX, tried to do before. It didn't really work out. We know of some companies, of pretty big ones, successful in other fields, who are trying to do it right now. But the regulatory pushback right at the moment is so hard that, as of today, there is no working solution on the market. And I hope that it will happen in the next 2 to 3 years.
Well, I guess you can go and purchase some tokenized equities on 1inch. Like right now, there are a few exchanges, centralized ones, that list that, but they only restrict it to a very limited amount of countries.
You could, But again, the numbers show that the users are not that excited about this particular tokenized assets. So it's
because they also offered another level of fragmentation. It's like all the different issuers that issue their own tokenized equities, which are non-fungible, which is another layer of complexity. And it is also quite an exciting challenge to solve, I guess.
I agree. It is, again, at this moment, it would be interesting to talk about like what is the problem that is actually getting solved here, because the initial idea that all the people who do not get access to the traditional markets, so for example, if you're even like a Dubai-based company, it is really difficult for you to get access to the US market to trade, right? Even if you're a properly set up entity and so on and so forth. And crypto does solve that. However, does this problem is being solved with the tokenized stocks that are out there right now? No, it doesn't. So this is something that the market is still working on at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. So just to kind of wrap up the discussion, you've built through all those different bull cycles and bear cycles. What are the key lessons, or what are the things that you enjoyed the most, or what you think are the key outcomes of your journey and the key lessons that you've learned of those years?
We didn't touch that much on our particular journey within 3Commas, so I will be really quick here because I think it is actually a very interesting story. 3Commas emerged as a company of a small team, which was like 35 people of professionals working together. So we've been working together for more than 7 years at that moment. After we moved the company out of Russia in late 2019, which allowed me to raise from FTX first and then from FTX jump and target a year later. And so when your numbers, when your revenues grew 13 times in a year, your user base grows 11 times in a year, that's all amazing. People are cheering out to you, your investors are cheering out to you. So we made almost 40 million euros raise in 2021. And then we did, you could say, either everything wrong or everything right, but not in a...
Well, the market changed a lot since then.
The market changed a lot, but what we did, most importantly, is that we hired almost 300 people in a year, which was a huge shift for a company. The company became completely unmanageable. And after the market shifted, we had to do a restructuring in late 2023. So now we are a much leaner team of 100 people, which is still a lot, I would say. Yeah. So you were asking what are the main lessons? So the main lessons are definitely first, and I know that it may sound like naive or it's a common wisdom and everyone says the same thing, but it is really to never give up and continue building on the vision that you have. I would also say that for people who are building new projects, it is really important to stay focused on what is that you want to deliver. I am always saying to everyone within my company and to all people that I talk to is that focus is the key thing in moving forward. As when you try to do so many things that you believe in, and the market is changing so quickly, I guess in any space, but within the crypto space, especially quickly, right? So when you're trying to do 5 things instead of 1, well, nothing gets done in the end, especially if you want to do and control everything by yourself. The important thing about building any kind of a product for me is always about bringing value to the user. So what is that value that we provide? I think it's fair to say that as 3Commas, for example, today is a much smaller platform than it was like 4 years ago.
Yep.
Well, mean that the value that we are providing today is lower or less the one that we provided like 4 years ago when the market was there. However, it also has to do a lot with what is that the market needs today. So it is really important to be constantly thinking about what is that I'm providing, what is that I'm building. Does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense, that maybe it's better to spend my time or time of people around me focusing on something else. So being focused doesn't mean doing one thing and one thing only. It means to do one thing right, and then if it doesn't work out, to be able to shift and adjust and pivot to the next best idea that you have. But you should be always focused on putting all your time and effort into building on that one idea that you believe in most. Something like that.
Yeah, well, I guess our listeners are generally like either senior executives or the business owners. So I think it's a common truth, which sometimes you just need to step back and think about it. So yeah, I think once again, it's important to remind everyone about that. And just lastly, we normally have the question about the 2 books that our guests can recommend. So maybe something on the personal front that inspires you personally, and then something more on the professional topic that you can recommend.
I would start with the professional one. When I was, I don't know, like 14 or 15, I found a book by, I really don't want to mess it up, and I think that at some point he became the chief executive officer of Ford. But so there is a book by an author called MiCA, and it's just called an autobiography, or was it Chrysler? But anyway, it's a book by a manager who joined probably Chrysler in the years when the company didn't do well. And he talks a lot about how was he able to reshape the company to deliver in the results that he needed. Has to do a lot with his personal experience, but it's also like a very hands-on book. It's so this is the one that I would recommend. And on the personal side, well, I am a lot about adventures.
Yeah.
So recently I stumbled upon a book of the Russian race driver, actually, and this is not. I don't think that. So you could easily find this book on the internet.
Yeah.
It's called like a diary of a race driver, and his name is Nikolai Bogdanov. And what he did was they back in the Soviet Union times, they had a race from Moscow to Lisbon. Mm-hmm. And the race is basically, you can take whatever car you want. It should be just a normally road car. And then with all the borders that you have, no one cares how you drive, but you should also think that you could be detained in, so it was not really an organized race. And so they set up this record in driving there in 42 hours from Moscow to Lisbon, and then they repeated this effort, and they and I believe that the second time they did it after the Soviet Union collapsed was like closer to 38 hours, which is still crazy. But it's an interesting read.
Well, yeah, well, it does sound interesting. So yeah, thanks a lot for your time and for some of the wisdom you shared with our listeners. Thank you, Yuri.
Thank you.